Everything stopped trading this morning. Yeah.
The futures are locked limit down. What that means is they can't trade anymore until someone will offer more money.
Bid them up.
You got to bid them up. The good news is it gives the markets a chance to catch their breath, take a breather, cooler heads prevail.
Right.
The bad news is it means we don't know what the heck's going on.
Right. Yeah, you know, Mika, we talk about this, that there is no catalyst for this that specifically, this is why this happened. We haven't had this happen, actually, in more than 10 years in terms of a limit for the regular day trading. Now, in the early trading, it's never happened before. But it's amazing. It really comes down to a growth forecast. We had some bad news out of China. Steel demand dropped. We're relying on China to power the global economy, so that was bad. Lots of problems in Britain. Recessionary numbers. Pound at the lowest level since 1971. You put all that together, it's just more fear. Nobody has any idea, Mark and I are saying, how companies are going to make money or how they're going to grow. And if you can't answer those questions, how the heck can you know what price they should be trading at?
Mort Zuckerman's with us and has a question. Mort.
Well, you know, with the pervasiveness of the media and its coverage of this financial debacle.
Here we go. Yeah, right. It's the media's fault.
No. I'm just saying that it's not a fault, an issue of fault, but it is what Aaron was saying. It's accumulation of fear, and this is something that just spreads out. And it's very, very difficult to turn around in the short run. And I'm just wondering if you think that is the dominant factor that is just guiding the markets.
Well, in this case, first of all, in terms of that argument, which I hear all the time, you people are talking down the market or you're scaring people, yada, yada. Look, if you want to play poker without looking at your cards, that's just fine. You do that. So the media blame
just
thing
as pessimistic
is
as you are. That's not the point I'm making. I'm not attacking you.
Okay, but here's the thing. This sell-off is different, and I know Aaron will agree with me. Today's sell-off is a little different because usually what happens is we set the tone, then Europe and Asia follow suit.
Right.
This time, the sell-off began in Asia because we had an up day yesterday. Mm-hmm. And then Asia opens and craters. Right. So this whole sudden turn began in Asia. Why? It's exactly what Aaron just said. We don't know how bad the economy is. Therefore, we don't know what earnings are going to be. Therefore, we don't know what stock prices should. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler or plainer than that.
What are the Asian governments doing, in a sense, to try and contain the problem as we are trying a whole variety of different policies here to try and contain the problem? Well,
you've had South Korea make some injections into banks like you did in Europe. China made some efforts over the week, several. It's a managed economy in certain ways, but to try to improve the situation, although it was headlines out of China that caused some fear in Asia because steel demand dropped. China's the biggest consumer, as you know, more of everything, copper, steel, you name it. Right. So that was actually a significant headline. India's also made some moves to try to cut interest rates and spark growth. So they're doing a little bit of both intervention on the monetary side as well as no direct fiscal policy intervention yet, but they're not sitting asleep at the switch.
All right.
I'm sorry. People also forget how much of a drop there has been in markets like China and indeed Russia. Russia's off 70-odd%. I don't know, China's off 60%. Yep. Those markets are really much less regulated than ours, much more susceptible to manipulation and speculation, and much more susceptible to a huge drop.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mort, because for years, every once in a while, someone will come on our program and say, I think you ought to invest in Russia. And I have always said, what kind of clarity do we have about Russia? How certain can we be that Putin will support the rule of law? Oh, no, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Well, guess what? If you've got your money in Russia right now, you can't touch it till next Tuesday because they have closed. They have closed down, and they will not reopen their markets until next Tuesday.
Right. Oh, it's incredible. When you look at, we talk about who has money right now. And a lot of the people who had money were the emerging markets, in particular, actually, China and Russia. Japan also has a lot of reserves. But you look at the rate at which Russia is burning through its reserves now to try to support its currency. It is stunning. And, we all remember 10 years ago with the Russian crisis, that's where things started. These countries, I don't want to use the word precarious. They still have a big cushion. But when you look at the drop in commodities and how so many of these emerging markets rely on commodities for their well-being, and that's contributed to global stability, you have just an incredible number of question marks out there.
And we see in this case how economics touches on foreign policy, where you had a very arrogant Putin after the invasion of Georgia, saying we're going to do whatever we want.
Right.
The bonds trader said, okay, fine, you guys do what you want. We're going to do what we want. The capital fled Russia. Their market crashed. Then oil prices dropped. Suddenly, you have a Russia that has been chastened by these events that started with the invasion of Georgia. And also, we've got to look at Iraq. Iraq has been successful in part over the past year because oil has been at record levels, and that is just cash has been pouring into that country. I wonder what $70 oil prices does for the future of Iraq over the next 6 months.
Well, wait a minute. Iraq has been successful because we've been paying all their bills. Okay, that's why Iraq has been successful. They've piled up an $80 billion surplus while we're putting $10 billion a month into the country. So, but I get you certainly about Russia. I agree with you. The Georgia thing, it is not all of it, but it's a major part of it. It eroded confidence in rule of law, in the sanity or stability of Putin. No question about it.
But you can't rule them off, Joe. I mean, that's what's amazing. Or you can't rule them out. I mean, you think about Russia and the potential threat to this country and our power by an unstable Russia. And that is even more frightening, perhaps, than a stable one that is not necessarily a friend.